Okay, boys and girls, today we're going to work on story problems, multiplying and dividing story problems. We're going to go through the long process of how we should get our information, because most of the time when we're doing a story problem, we're not getting the right information or all the information we need. This will take a while to start with, but then it will become second nature to you and you'll be able to do it in your head. So let's get started in 1.9, page 55. The story problem is Mark works in an animal shelter. To feed 9 dogs, Mark empties 8 18-ounce cans of dog food into a large bowl. He divides the food equally among the dogs. How many ounces of food will each dog get? So the first thing I need to do is I need to find out, what do I need to find out? What's the purpose of doing this story problem? Well, if I look back here, it's usually the question they're asking at the end, usually. How many ounces of food will each dog get? So that's what I need to find out, is the number of ounces of food each dog will get. So add that, please. Then we got to go to what information do I need? Sometimes the story problems, they throw in information you don't need. So let's go back and what do I really need to know? Well, first of all, I need to know how many cans of food I have. So I can see here I have 8 cans of food. So when I do a story problem, I like to write down those information. I need 8 cans of food. So then I also need to know how many ounces are in each can. So I can see there's 18 ounces in each can. So I'm just going to write down 18 here, and I don't know what order of operation just yet. And then I also need to know how many dogs do I have to split that up into. How many dogs am I going to feed? So I'm going to put the 9 down here. I'm not sure, so now I have this information. How can I take this information and what should I do with it? Well, first thing I know I need to do is I need to figure out how many ounces I have if I have 8 cans. Well, I have equal amount of ounces, so I can multiply. So I'm going to do that first, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. And I said I can multiply by that total number. Now I have the total number of ounces, but now I have to divide that equally into 9 for each 9 dogs. So what am I going to do? What order of operations am I going to use? I'm going to divide. Alright, now I'm going to do those steps. So my first step would be to multiply 8 times 18, and I can do that. 8 times 18. So I always put my larger number on top. 8 times 8 is 64. And 8 times 1 is 8 plus 6 more is 144. So I have 144 ounces. So I have that 144 ounces. Then I got to do my next step up here, which was divide. I don't know what happened to my divide, but I had to, there. I have to divide 9. So if I divide 9, I can come up with my answer. I also know how to do that now. I can use the inverse operation. I have 144 divided by 9. So I'm going to use the inverse operation. I'm going to do 9. I need to get a total of 144. So how can I do that? By using the distributive property. I'm going to distribute 9 out, I don't know how many times, plus 9 out, I don't know how many times, to get 144. So the first thing I'm going to do is do 9 times 10, because that's simple for me. So I use 90. And then if I've used 90, I can subtract off that from 144, and I have 54 left. So now I have to ask myself, 9 times what will get me to 54? Well, I know that 9 times 6 is 54, so I can put 9 times 6, and it got me to 54, which equaled my 144. But what did I use to get those? I got 16. So 144 divided by 9 is 16. Here's the same steps we did. So I know I have 16, I need 16 ounces of food. All right, let's move on to the next story problem. So now we're on page 56. The story problem is Michelle is building shelves for her room. She has a plank 137 inches long that she wants to cut into 7 shelves of equal length. The plank has jagged ends, so she will start by cutting off 2 inches off each end. How long will each shelf be? So what do I need to know? I need to find out how long each shelf will be, or how long the 7 shelves will be. So that's my information that I need to find out. How can I cut it at 137 inches into equal lengths? Well, what information do I need? Well, first I need to know how much I have. I have 137 inches. And then I need to know that, oh, I'm cutting off 2 on each end, so I need 2 groups of 2 because I've got 2 ends. And I also know I have 7 shelves. So if I go back, I can look at what do I need to know. I need to know the amount of the plank, which is 37. I also need to know how much am I cutting off each end, and then what's the length when I get all done. All right, how will I use that information? Well, I have 137, and if I have to cut it off, I'm going to subtract and subtract. So I'm going to do 137 subtract 2 and subtract 2 more first, because then I got to figure out how long my board is. And then if I'm dividing it equally into 7 boards, I'm going to divide by 7. So how can I use that information? I will first subtract 2 inches from each end of the plank so that what length is being divided by 7, just what we said. So how can we solve this problem? Well, we can go to what we already know, and let's go to, whoops, sorry. I had 137 subtracted by 2, that was my first part. And I did this part first, and that's 135. And if I subtract 2 again, I get 133. So now I've got 133, and I'm going to divide that by 7 because I have my total length of board. If I'm going to take 133 divided by 7, oh, I'm not sure, so I'm going to use that inverse operation again. 7 times what will get me there? Distributive property, 7 times what plus 7 times what equals 133. So if I look at this, I'm going to do 7 times 10 because that's always easiest. So I'm going to do, I've used 70. So I'm going to subtract 70 from it, and I get 63. So what times 7 equals 63? Well, I know that 7 times 9 equals 63. So I have to add those two together. 10 plus 9 equals 19. My answer is 19. I go back, and they did it as a factor tree, but I know I need 19. Each board will be 19 inches long. So I told you that was a long process, but if we get in the habit of writing down what we need and then going back, first asking ourselves what we need, go back and say, well, how do I use that information, and then set up the equation. So what I want you to do next is I would like you to do page 57, and I want you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want you to do that with your partner. And then I would like you to do on your own number 2 for homework and number 4 on page 59. And on page 60, I would like you to do 1, 3, and 6.